What up? It's Super Bowl Sunday. Just begrudgingly watched the Chiefs win their second in a row Super Bowl. They had like what I felt to be like a mediocre season, and then they just heated up in the postseason, and I don't know. I thought the 49ers were going to win it, but let's continue the discussion about public school. Bonnet Mom has brought up some interesting points. This is what I like the most about these kinds of discussions is that, we don't know everything, number one, and number two, we don't know everybody's points of view, and every once in a while, somebody brings up a point of view and you're like, wow, I didn't even think about that. So, it's a lot to unpack, because what I'm trying not to do is I'm trying not to be defensive, because I think it's a very important thing. So I send my children to public school. Therefore, I could, well, I guess I technically do have a dog in this fight, because if I admitted, for example, that sending your kids to public school is a bad idea or it's unnecessary and all this stuff, but I send my kids to public school, then I look bad, right? So my motivation is actually to defend public school, not because I think it's the right thing, but because I've already made the decision to send my children to public school. So that's where you get a lot of people's motivations and their arguments coming from, because they feel personally attacked, if you say public school is bad. Or now, I don't, by the way, I don't feel attacked. I'm trying to separate myself from those feelings, but a lot of people can't separate those themselves from those feelings. So that's what I'm going to try to do. But I can't erase my bias, though. Like, my bias is probably going to be there toward public school or private school, but like, basically public and private school kind of fall in the same category as far as this discussion is concerned, because we're talking about letting other people educate your children, or we're talking about you educating your own children. So homeschool versus community, public or private school. We'll lump those in the same category together. So, maybe I would have done better if I sent my kids to a private school. But for me, and I think it's going to be different for every family. For me, sending my kids to school instead of homeschooling them, I don't know. It really wasn't a choice for me, because even if my wife didn't work at all, I guarantee you she would not be down with homeschooling these children. She just would not be able to do it. Not that she's stupid, but she just wouldn't have the capacity for the like the patience and all the things that you need, like, and she's definitely a very traditional kind of a woman, like, she just thinks that normal people go to public or private schools and then weirdos homeschool their kids. I'm not saying that's true. I'm saying that's her point of view. So getting my wife to agree to do that, or getting my wife to agree to, like, okay, honey, you work, you be the breadwinner, you make $150,000 or more a year, and I'll stay home and homeschool the kids. Well, I think I do a better job of homeschooling the kids, but my wife being cool with, or being able to work on her own, and make enough money for us to live a comfortable lifestyle is probably out of the question. Not to mention the fact that our family, both of our families, would probably be judging us pretty harshly. That shouldn't matter, but I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to say that it does, And other people just be like, oh, she's going to work and you're staying home with the kid. Like, I'm very traditional in that sense as well, that I don't want to be the one staying home with the kids. And to be honest with you, I don't know if I'd have the patience for those little punks sometimes. So what is the alternative if you can't homeschool your kid? I just wonder, Bonnet, if you would answer this question, and I'm asking a serious question. For people who cannot, for people who don't have the capacity to homeschool their kid, they're either uneducated themselves, or they just don't have the money or the wherewithal or whatever to, like, they don't have the resources to do it. I just want to make sure that I understand. Are you saying that keeping the kids home and like not educating them at all, or just having them watch Sesame Street or whatever, that's a better option than sending them to public school? I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, so I would like you to answer that question. But if that's what you're saying, I would disagree. And again, that's probably going to vary based on, like, if you live in a really shitty school district in like inner city Chicago or some shit like that, hell, it might be a better idea to let your kids stay home and not get educated than send them to a place where they're going to learn how to join a gang and get in, deal drugs and get in fights, and, then not letting them get educated at all. Who knows? That might be a better option. But for most people, I don't think that's really the conundrum. Most people, at least the people that I know, if they let their kids stay home and not get educated at all because they can't homeschool them, it's probably a bad idea compared to sending your kids to public school where they're going to learn math and science and history and all kinds of other useful things. Now, not everything is good and not everything is all bad, right? So are they going to learn bad stuff in school? Are they going to be indoctrinated? Of course they are. Of course they are. But they're going to learn good things in school too. They're going to learn about writing, reading, they're going to learn all the stuff that they need to learn too. So you can't, you got to be careful with this black and white type of thinking that something is either all bad or all good. Most things are a combination, like they're like, part of it's bad, part of it's good. And am I willing to make a sacrifice and take the bad things so that I can still get the good things, I would say that for the most part, I'd say a really high percentage, let me turn the light on, I'm parked here. A high percentage of situations, I think, sending your kids to public school, it's not ideal, right? And it's not necessary either. It's not completely necessary, right? I mean, necessary to me is like something that you have to do to survive. It's not necessary to send your kids to school. But really, I don't think that's the question. I think the question is, what's the best option for your children? You've got a few different options, right? Public school, private school, homeschool, and no school. Let's say that's our 4 options. Can you afford private school? If that's a no, now you got 3 options. Public school, homeschool, or no school. Can you homeschool your kids? No. Okay, now you got 2 choices. Public school or no education, basically, or letting the TV raise your kids or something like that, because you don't have the money to hire private tutors either. Between public school and no education at all, man, I got to take public school. I'm not trying to flip you guys off, but that's just how the video ended.